Mr. Lovejoy, if you could, can you come down and point out, using the laser, who's who in the photograph? That's me, from left to right. That's me. That's Baby O. That's Julian Patterson. That's Souls. That's Bleak scratched out. That's Dub Life. That's 40. Do you know 40's real name? Eric. Eric or something like that. I don't know. I don't know right now. Now, in the photo, it appears that Bleak, the individual, blacked out. Something covering his face or blacked out. Do you know why his face is covered or why it was scratched out? He was labeled a snitch. He snitched on Sosa and everybody else, I believe. Actually, you're going to have to... You can take your seat. So you were saying he snitched on individuals? Yes. What does it mean to snitch? What I'm doing, cooperating with the federal authorities. And when you snitch, are you coming forward with the truth? Objection. That's for the jury. That's up to the jury. What's the motivation for snitching? If he's doing it right now, what's the motivation for him snitching? Objection. That's up to the jury to decide after cross-examination. Sustain the objection to the first question. You're now asking another one? Sorry, the incentive question was not for the witness? Well, let me ask you this. Can we leave that photo up, please? His face is blacked out because he was quote-unquote snitching? Yes. What does snitching involve? What is it about? What is snitching? Working with law enforcement. Giving information to the law enforcement for reduced time on sentencing. And when someone snitches, is it expected they give truthful information? Objection. Yes. That's a permissible question. The court will overrule the question. So is it expected that they will give truthful information? Yes. Do you consider yourself a snitch? Yes. So Bleak's face is blacked out because he was snitching? Yes. What was he snitching about? Oh, I don't know. I guess about whatever. Objection, Your Honor. Do you know what he was snitching about? No. But did you believe he was giving law enforcement information? Yes. Why do you believe he was giving law enforcement information? Because Sosa and his brother had some type of paperwork with everybody's name and what we were doing in there. When you say paperwork, what does that mean? Maybe it's called a discovery package or something like that. Legal papers? Legal papers, yes. Did you know for a fact whether or not he was only snitching about Sos or the individual you just mentioned? No. But could he have been snitching on other individuals? Objection to relevancy. We're talking about why his face is blacked out and what the... I'll ask it in a different way. Do you know whether members of the 7 Mile Bloods or their associates thought he was snitching about other individuals? Yes. Objection. The court will overrule objection. So the answer was yes. Let's go back to 2011, 2012. I think that's where we are. Did you ever go back down to West Virginia? Yes. That's 12. Yep. Or 12, 13. 12 or 13? Yeah. Why did you go back down to West Virginia? Well, I had stopped selling drugs. I opened a clothing line, but we was kind of having cash flow problems. So I went down there to kind of make some quick money. So you stopped selling drugs and you opened a clothing line, you said? Yes. What, you were having cash flow problems? Yes. And then you went down to West Virginia? Yes. So the first time you went down there, what did you bring down there with you? I think it was 160 pills or 120. And how did you get down there? The bus. The same way we talked about before? Yes. Where did you go when you got down there? Where did we go? Huntington, West Virginia. Did you ever meet up with any 7 Mile Bloods or their associates? Dub Life in Rome. Dub Life is Quincy? Yes. Rome, is that Gooch? Yes. Where did you meet up with them? Dub Life picked me and Gooch up from the bus station at Huntington and drove us over to Charleston. When you got to Charleston, where did you go? Jerome Gooch house. What did you see inside that house, if anything? Just pills and money. Would you have considered that a trap house? Yes. Who else was in that house? That time, just Dub Life and Jerome. Both of them are SMB? They 55. But they're at least associated with SMB? Yes. Did you ever go back down to West Virginia after that trip? Yep, maybe 6 months later. Why did you go back that second time? Same issue, cash flow. What were you selling when you went down there? Pills. Where did you get those pills from? I bought them. Do you remember where you bought them from? From Jew Wells. From Jew Wells? Yeah. That his real name? Julius something. I don't know his last name. Is he associated with the 7 Mile Bloods? Yeah. So you went back down to West Virginia. Where did you go? I went to Dip's house that time. That's Derek Kennedy? Yes. Kennedy is a member of 55, you said? Yes. What happened when you got down to his house? He sold the pills and then we went to go hang out at Jerome Gooch's house. Did you see anybody from 7 Mile Bloods or their associates when you were down there that time? Yes. Who did you see? I seen his little brother. I can't remember his name. Papa. Papa, you said? Yep. Who's Papa? Do you know his real name? No. Papa is Jerome Gooch's little brother. Jerome Gooch's little brother? Yeah, he is 55. Okay. Who else? Block was there. What was Block doing there? Do you know? Selling drugs. Selling drugs. Was he protecting anybody's interest like you mentioned before? Not that I know of. Were any of the defendants there? I believe Corey Bailey was there. Do you know what Bailey was doing there? Selling drugs. What was he selling? Pills, I guess. I don't really know exactly what he was selling. So those 2 trips you go down, did you ever go back down there later on? Yep, like a year later. Do you know roughly when that would have been? What year? 2014. Let me ask you this. Before you went down there in 2014, were you still working on your business? Yes. And why did you go down to West Virginia that time? Cash flow. You were having problems with money for the business? Yep. Did you need money for anything in particular? I needed money for a photo shoot, and I wanted to go to a fashion school in California. So you needed money for a photo shoot that was for your business? Yes. Did you get arrested that trip? Yes. What happened? The police raided the house. The guy who I was down there worked for, he was there. He left the pills in the container, something like this right here, and I grabbed it, threw it. They found it, went to jail. Well, let me ask you this. Let's talk a little bit more about your clothing business. When did you start it? Somewhere between 2012, somewhere in there. And this business, did you design the clothes? Yes. Did you ever design clothes for the 7 Mile Bloods? Yes. As well as their associates? Yes. Did they ever request anything specific to be put on the clothing you were designing? 55. Did you ever get a request for a certain color of clothing? Yes. What was that color? Reds, greens, browns. They had different requests, but a lot of red. A lot of red, you said? Yes. I want to show you. Let me ask you this. Did you ever try to sell your clothes in stores? Yes. My clothes were sold in 3 stores here and 1 store in the South. What was the name of your company? Ethan & Co. Ethan & Co.? Yes. I want to show you 78G for identification. So handing you 78G. Do you know who this is in this photo? B-Man and Sonny. B-Man is Billy Arnold? Yes. How do you know it's those 2 in the picture? Well, I made both of the shirts and I know what they look like. You know what they look like? Yes. Judge, if I can enter this in as 78G. Any objection? No objection. All right. Thanks. The court will receive it. Mr. Lovejoy, if you could step down and tell us, first off, who is on the left? Get the microphone. Who is on the left in the photograph? Sonny. How do you know that's Sonny? Well, the dreads, and that's the shirt that I designed. And the shirt, what's on that shirt? You designed that shirt? Yes. So what's on that shirt? It's like a graffiti design that say Ethan Ethan with multiple colors. A graffiti design that says Ethan Ethan? Yes. Who is on the right? B-Man. How do you know that's B-Man? He always wear a mask. Plus, I sold him the shirt. You sold him the shirt? Yes. What's on that shirt? Did you design that? Yes. What's on that shirt? 55 with the flag. So, like, 55 is the stars and, the stripes is the stripes. So, one more time. So, the shirt, what did you say it was, a flag? Yes. And if you could just describe what's on that flag as you designed it. Well, they got the 2 5s right there, kind of like the stars in a regular flag. And the stripes are the stripes of a flag. And then up under there is a bunch of stars. You came up with that design for B-Man? Not specifically for B-Man, but I know he appreciated it. You mentioned he was wearing a mask in the photo. Did you design the mask? No. Why didn't you design the mask? He asked me to, but my wife thought it was a bad idea. Why did you think it was a bad idea? No, my wife thought it was a bad idea. Why did your wife think... Do you know why your wife thought it was a bad idea? Yeah, well, the affiliation. We were getting complaints about the red shirt, the sweater that he got on. I had the sweater in stores and people were coming in saying something to the owners of the store, like, we know what that means. So the owner gave me a phone call and told me to come get the shirts. So the owner made it clear that he didn't want to sell your clothing in the store. Just that particular sweater. And did he ever indicate why this particular sweater was a problem? No, he didn't really get into specifics, no. But he didn't want to sell that one? Yes. I want to show you 78H as in Henry. I'm showing you 78H for identification. Do you know who's in that photograph? B-Man and Jig. Is there anybody else in that photograph? I don't know the guy in the front. I don't know. I just know B-Man and Jig. You said B-Man and Jig? Yes. Do you know when this photo would have been taken, approximately? 2014, maybe 15. Judge, if I could enter this in as 78H as in Henry. Any objection? No objection. All right. The court will receive it. Thank you. You mentioned Jig. Do you know Jig's real name? His last name, Hendricks. Hendricks? Yeah. And he's associated with the 7 Mile Bloods? He is the 7 Mile Blood. He is a 7 Mile Blood. And if we could focus on the mask. You designed that mask? No. Who wears a mask like that? B-Man. Is B-Man the only one you've ever seen wear a mask like that? Yes. And that's Billy Arnold? Yes. At some point, did Billy, did he go to prison? Yes. Roughly when was that? Maybe 2006 or 7. Do you know when he got out, approximately? Like 12, 13. 12, 13. When he was in prison, did you do anything to help him out? Yes. What did you do? I sent him money and took care of his mom and his daughter. Do you know where that money came from? Drugs. You sent his mom, as well as B-Mail while he was in prison, money to take care of family and the daughter? Yes. As well as B-Man? Yes. Did you talk to Billy when he got out? Yes. How often would you talk to him? Almost every other day. Did you talk to him in 2015 about his role in the 7 Mile Bloods? What he believed his role was? I don't know if he phrased it that way, but he was talking about he was frustrated with, in particular, Dub Life calling him to come up to the club with an AK or big gun so Dub Life can party and kind of B-Man just watch out for him in the parking lot. All right, let's break that down a little bit. So he was frustrated that, you said Dub, that's Quincy? Yes. That Quincy was asking him to do what? I guess protect him or watch out after him, something along that line. Is that when you said Quincy would go to the club? Yeah, the strip club or a regular club. And he would have B-Man, what did you say? Brought an AK with him? Is that what you said? Or something like that. A big gun, yeah. Do you know why Quincy would ask Billy Arnold to do that as opposed to, let's say, anybody else who's a part of the 7 Mile Bloods? B-Man's reputation. What is his reputation within the 7 Mile Bloods? Being aggressive. When you say aggressive, one more time, what does that mean? Fighting, shooting. Are you aware in 2014 of an individual named Neff who was shot? I heard about it. Who is Neff? Do you know who Neff is? I have no idea. Was Neff associated with the 7 Mile Bloods? Not that I know of, no. Do you know if he was associated with a rival gang? I don't really know, no. After Neff was shot, how did that shooting affect your neighborhood, if any? Put the whole neighborhood on edge. When you say on edge, what do you mean? Well, it was, I guess, online or rumors or something, having a hit list out on people from our neighborhood. Did you ever see this hit list yourself? No. Did you ever get threatened yourself? No. Do you know what SMB does to snitches if there's any sort of blowback for being a snitch? The worst I probably heard was Bleak getting punched in the face. Getting punched in the face? And got beat up by Sos and his brother. Got beat up for snitching? Yes. And got beat up by individuals who were part of the 7 Mile Bloods? Yes. Or at least associated with the 7 Mile Bloods? Yes. 1 second, Judge. Let's talk about your own criminal history, Mr. Lovejoy. When was the first time you were arrested? 2004. What was that for? Attempt to deliver, possession of crack cocaine. Okay. Do you remember who arrested you? What agency? I think it was the East Point Task Force. What about the time after that? Was there a time after that that you got arrested? 2007. What happened then? They raided a house on Manning, got caught with some marijuana. Do you remember who was in that house with you? I think it was J-Rock, Product, and Grimy and Nice. Did you get arrested after that? Yes. Where was that? 2009 in West Virginia. Was that the time we were talking about with the guns in the house? Yes. Did you ever get arrested in Ohio when you were meeting the individual you were giving drugs to take back to West Virginia? I was coming back from Ohio, yes. And what happened there? I got caught with $14,000. I'm sorry, one more time? I got caught with $14,000. What happened to that $14,000? They took most of it. And were you eventually arrested in this case as well? Let me ask you this as well. Were there any other arrests as well? The one that took place in 2014 in West Virginia. And what happened there? The police raided a house. They caught me throwing the pills out the window. And you were eventually arrested in this case as well, right? Yes. Do you remember when you were indicted on this case? It was March, maybe 5th. Do you remember what year it was? 2015. Did you get an attorney as a result of this case or that indictment? Yes. When you got an attorney, did you and your attorney agree to come to the U.S. Attorney's Office to talk to the prosecutors? Yes. When you came into the U.S. Attorney's Office, did you meet with the FBI as well? Yes. Anybody force you to come in and start talking to the FBI? No. I'm going to show you what's been marked 520 for identification. Mr. Lovejoy, looking at 520, does this have your signature on it? Yes. Are you familiar with what you signed there? Yes. Just in your own words, what do you think that letter is? It's an agreement to tell the truth, and if you don't, everything that you said, they can charge you with. It's an agreement to tell the truth, and if you don't, anything you say can be used against you? Yes. Do you recall what the date of this letter was? Does it indicate what date it is? March 2nd. What year? 2016. Is that the first time you came into the U.S. Attorney's office to talk with the agents and prosecutors in this case? Yes. Did you come in multiple times after that? Yes. Did you eventually plead guilty in this case? Yes. What did you plead guilty to? Racketeering. Racketeering? Yes. Did you sign what's called a plea agreement? Yes. I'm going to show you it's been marked as Government Exhibit 521. Are you familiar with what Exhibit 521 is for identification? Yes. What is that document? It's a plea agreement. And in that plea agreement, does it set out what jail time you were facing on the racketeering agreement or the racketeering charge you pled guilty to? Yes. How much time did you agree to in that plea agreement? How much time were you facing? You know what page it's on? Well, do you know how much time you're facing? It was 107 months to 97 months, something like that. I'm not. You said 97 months to 107 months? Yes. I'm going to show you 522 for identification. Mr. Lovejoy, looking at 522 for identification, do you know what document this is? Yes. Is that what's called a cooperation agreement? Yes. Did you sign that agreement? Yes. Is that an agreement that requires you to testify truthfully in front of the court for the prosecution? Yes. If you agree to testify, or rather you agree to testify truthfully, does the agreement set out what happens if you do testify truthfully? Yes. What happens? I receive reduced time. Do you know what that time is? I believe it's 30 months. 30 months. Do you know who actually determines the sentence? The judge. So Judge Stee would determine that? Yes. Do you know what happens if you lie during trial? Yes. What happens? Everything that I said before would be charged against me. So you'd get the 97 to, I believe, 108? Yes. Do you know if anything else can happen to you if you lie during trial? I think you get the plagiary, something like that. Perjury? Perjury, yeah. Do you know if perjury is a crime? Yes. Can you also be prosecuted for that? Yes. Mr. Lovejoy, what steps have you taken to better your life since this indictment? I've been attending community college. And what's that? Objection as to relevance, Your Honor. We're telling the story of Mr. Lovejoy from 2003. I'll overrule the objection. You were attending class at community school? Yes. What kind of classes are you taking? Business classes, computer science class. What do you want to do with those classes? Get a degree. In what? Computer science. Computer science? Yes. Just one moment, Judge. Nothing further. I'm sure these gentlemen have some questions for you. Thank you. Excuse me. On behalf of Mr. Porter, we have no questions. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shard.